fact that he pulled back immediately on codifying Roe, the fact that he, and look, credit where credit's due, credit to Breonna Joy Gray. She really nailed it on this particular issue regarding how the student debt cancellation was put in place when Biden has executive authority to just cancel it himself, no matter what anyone says. He did it in a way to ensure that it would fail. And there are people who are going to pretend that, no, he really tried to do all he could. Not true. He never wanted it. And it was just an excuse to get people to vote.
Are you kidding? There's people pretending that it's going to happen.
But it's going to come back and bite them in 24 in a really bad way. And so how do you guys assess the midterms in terms of the overall results?
Pat, do you want to go first? Or
I'll take it. I mean, look, I think Nina Turner nailed it. It's the same thing a lot of us were thinking, but like on one hand, Democrats were saying, you need to elect us to get Roe passed. I mean, to codify Roe. 2 more Democrats will do it in the Senate. We give them that, basically. And then they say immediately that they can't pass it. Well, you can't also be celebrating what an overwhelmingly good outcome it was for Democrats if it's better than you thought, and you can't do the thing you said 2 days ago you would do if you did better than you thought. And you're already saying we can't do it. And, nobody's talking about it, but like the race in play in Georgia is Warnock, who, why is his race in play? It comes down to the $2,000 checks. I mean, they were promising $2,000 checks and they got 1,300. That's not on him, but like
1,400.
13, 14, whatever.
14. Doesn't matter.
Math is not my thing. But
too little, too late.
But I mean, when you're that close and have a runoff, and he got Democrats let people down immediately once he won the election. So if you don't think that could make up for 1% of people to not need a runoff where we'd have another Democratic senator, I think that's crazy. And the press is ignoring that is even an issue, because then it brings up all the other things that were promised in the election that were immediately thrown out the door, like abortion this time.
Yep.
Like we're already
$15 minimum wage. We're definitely not going to get rid of the filibuster. We're only going to listen to the parliamentarian. Yeah.
Look, guys, remember, that's our pick is Manchin and parliamentarian for 24.
Yeah.
Those are the people with the real power in the party. So we think they should be in charge. Every time I hear parliamentarian, I got to promote. Sorry. Yeah.
From the moment Biden got in, we were told, hey, it's the Green Lantern effect, right? The president the least powerful person in the world is a Democrat who is the leader of the country. Can never do anything, can't use the bully pulpit, has to keep giving committee assignments to people who betray him, went out and rallied for Kurt Schrader, who single-handedly ruined the pharmaceutical, my mind on too much wine and shots from the show before. Sorry. But Kurt Schrader, who prevented several parts of Build Back Better from moving forward, which was Biden's signature help me out here, act, whatever. I know. And then he goes and he rallies for him versus the progressives who actually fought for what Biden pretended was his big legislation. Right. So we know that Biden could be doing a lot more to, carry a big stick and to get people in line behind him and hold rallies in the back door of the people who refuse to support the things that are widely popular across the country. And he refuses to do any of that. So, I mean, I think, unfortunately, it was a big bait and switch, the whole thing, right? You're told, we don't think we're going to get crushed in the midterms. It's going to be a big shellacking. That's what happens every time. They told us that from the second Biden came into power, shellacking in the midterms. Then Roe v. Wade's overturned. Then it's if you want it to be codified, you got to vote for us. Well, why didn't you codify it as soon as you got there? It's one of the things you ran on. Don't do that. Vote for us in the midterms, even though we don't expect to win the midterms. And then we don't win the midterms in both houses, but we did better than expected, but we still can't do the thing that we
Well, I always like to say that only the Democrats could lose the House and say we won. So, but in reality, they did win because now they really don't have to do anything.
Well, I actually believe that. I actually believe that people like Nancy Pelosi prefer.
It's perfect.
It's when we know they preferred Trump to Bernie. We know that.
Yeah.
But I think just in general, they prefer not being in power because then they're less accountable and they can just constantly blame the Republicans.
I don't know, though. I kind of feel like there's a real growing movement in this country at this point where I think a lot of people are starting to ask questions.
Oh, but you can't question whether or not I think they're all in cahoots.
I mean, like they're asking questions like, well, I don't know.
Something's not right here.
You keep asking us to do this, and yet nothing ever changes.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how it is with very comfortable people. The problem with very comfortable people is they always vote. They're always involved.
And they're generally single issue voters. And it's usually things like choice or gun control, at least down in Broward. Like that's the most suburban, comfortable thing that people are very consumed with here.
Like I would tell people that if you looked at Shannon Watts, head of Moms Demand Action, like if you want to understand why the working class is so turned off by the Democratic Party, just follow her. Just follow her account and you'll understand why. Because if that ain't sanctimonious privilege, I've never seen it.
I think the problem is, okay, more people are aware of all these issues with the Democratic Party. Like, there's no denying that your average centrist person, your friend, your family, whatever, who doesn't follow politics, kind of knows that the Democratic Party is shit now. Yeah. But they're very susceptible to fear-mongering from the mainstream media. So no matter what, you can have these conversations on the side with these people and convince, and they'll tell you, oh my God, I totally believe in that. Holy shit. But you put up a Trump, you put up a radical right, and this is where the midterms, back to the midterms, the Democrats survived the midterms because of abortion, nothing else.
That's what I said.
The spin is that it's the economy. Like they're trying to say Democrats.
The economy actually is good. See?
Well, and they're also trying to say that they are such brilliant strategists, but democracy was not even in the top 5 issues for people.
Yeah.
And if the Democrats did so well because of their brilliant strategy, why wasn't the thing they ran on one of the top 5 issues?
Yeah, because they did the Pied Piper thing again, and this time it worked. $53 million poured into MAGA candidates, and not one of those people won. I mean, except for J.D. Vance, but I don't know if they poured money into his. But everybody else lost that they poured money into, and so now they're justified. They're going to do it again.
I don't know if I agree
up those fascists. No,
well, they think they're like really strategic, and they
12-dimensional chess,
keeping the capitalists in power. Like it is actually working. Like you have to acknowledge, like it is working for them.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that
would it have worked if Roe versus Wade? What would the midterms have looked like were it not for Roe versus Wade?
Well, I think we added another 10 points. We would have added another 10 points between DeSantis and Christ, is what I believe.
Well, I definitely think if abortion definitely made a big difference in Pennsylvania. There's no question about it. And as sad as this is to say, yeah, I think Dr. Ross would be going to the U.S. Senate right now if Roe v. Wade was not overturned.
But that has to do also with the age of the students and the people or the kids that came out. Gen Z was the huge thing there.
Yes, and even though I thought that Fetterman had a great chance to win, and I always maintained that he would win, his decision to get involved with that debate and expose himself in a very bad way, I thought was going to sink him. But even still, I thought he would squeak out a victory. Remember, he was up by a lot.
But it was definitely Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, I think that definitely played a role for sure. Did it play a role in other places? I don't know. The only outlier that I really see is any of the Trump-backed election deniers, whether it was in Pennsylvania, whether it was in Michigan, whether it was in Arizona, whether it was in Washington State, they all lost. The only one who's hanging on by a thread right now is, I mean, I can't even say that Herschel Walker was really that guy.
People, for the love of all that is holy.
The idea that he's even a candidate is a joke. But I do think that Warnock will win. I would be very surprised if, you know what,
we're going to organize a phone bank for Warnock.
I think Warnock will win. Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah,
but I think let's not take that risk. Let's not.
I just want to point something out. So the Democrats essentially got rewarded for Roe versus Wade being overturned under a Democratic president. So strategically, that worked for them. So what does that tell you about voting problems in the future? So they could let gay marriage get overturned, or they could let anything they let go that makes the country go more right is going to help the Democratic Party more than actually passing a policy that benefits people, because they know strategically, worst case scenario, they lose, but their donors are happy.
Yep.
Well, that's the reason that they never codified Roe. If the Democrats had ever codified Roe, they wouldn't have anything to have fundraised on for like the past 3 presidential administrations. Like that's their main thing. Yeah. So they never wanted, like, they didn't need for it to necessarily be overturned to help them. They're always able to use that. Like that made it worse, but they've been using that forever. That
was the biggest gift they've ever gotten. I mean,
and it would be the same with any of the other fringe issues. That's what they do, because that's the only thing they can hang their hat on. It's like, we're corporate, we're pro-war, we're going to take all your money, give it to our rich friends. But hey, we like the LGBT community and we support a woman's right to choose. Right. And that's all they have. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.